Hi, my friend, and welcome to the Good Girl Syndrome Show. My name is Julie Vander Meulen or Julie Vander Meulen, depending on where you are in the world. I am an empowerment coach for high achieving women, and I have specialized in a concept called Good Girl Syndrome, which is what this show is all about. So every single week, I choose one topic that one of you brings up, someone in my audience. It depends where you're coming from. It can be from my Sunday Sanctuary newsletter, that is for free if you're not registered yet. You can find the link to register for free in a description box. A lot of people send me messages on social media, more specifically on LinkedIn, where I have quite a bit of a community. Um, and some of you go through my Google form. I have a Google form, an Ask Julie form, that a few of you have started to use, and where you can actually fully describe your situation, what you're going through, what's the advice you want, what's the question you want to ask me, and so on and so forth, specifically so that I answer in my Good Girl Syndrome show in one of the episodes that I actually do what I'm going to do today, which is a sort of coaching or mentoring session without you being in the room. So I just use whatever you've given me, and then from that, I tell you what I would tell you in a coaching session and what questions I would ask you. So for this week, the topic is very, very interesting and interesting and very dear to my heart. It's about being the girl who's always in the shadow, right? The girl who's very, very good in general, who performs really, really well. Somehow she's always in the shadows. No one sees her. And she both loves being in the shadows because there she's, hidden, she's safe, but also secretly she's a bit resentful because what she deeply, deeply desires to be seen and to be understood and all of these different things. And so to unpack this whole situation here, we have the beautiful Lydia, who sent me a message in my Google form, where she unpacked her own situation, and we will help her through it in this episode. So before I start, I just want to remind you, if you are enjoying this show so far, please send me some love. Put me a thumbs up on this episode or whichever one you are listening to afterwards. Um, I look at this is new for me, right? I'm still learning. Anything that you do to encourage me helps me so, so much. It helps me and my moods as well. It helps me know that this matters, that I should continue to build the skills and, the library of content for anyone that it can help right now and also in the future, right? So do encourage me, put a comment in the chat, say hello, say hi, tell me what you like, what you would like, to see next time, like whatever it is that you want to say. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe. With that said, I think we can start. So Lydia, um, I put actually your whole text because it was a bit on the longer side, but I thought every part was very, very interesting. So here we go. She says, Julie, I'm very good at what I do. I know I'm competent, reliable, and often one of the strongest people in the room, but I stay in the background. I don't put myself forward. I don't claim space, and I don't fully show who I am. Part of me likes being hidden. It feels safe. But another part of me deeply wants to be seen, understood, and recognized for who I really am. I keep hoping someone will notice me and bring me into the light. Her final question is, why do I do this? And how do I stop hiding without feeling exposed or feeling arrogant? Exposed or arrogant? Very interesting. Thank you, Lydia, for this question. I'm going to do what I always do, which is unpack it step by step, right? So let's go with the beginning section. So, Julie, I'm very good at what I do. I bet you are. I know I'm competent, reliable, and often one of the strongest people in the room, but I stay in the background. So the first part of this, which I love for you, right? But which is a pattern of most good girls that I know, right? The audience that I draw to me are women who are like me, right? We attract what we are. Um, or what we used to be. I tend to attract to me women who behave in a way that I used to behave and sometimes still do, which is hyper, hyper competent women. like brilliant, brilliant women, ambitious women, right? High achieving women, however you identify between those different those different concepts, but someone who performs really, really well, right? Which is what you are describing here, Lydia. And I'm not surprised that you are part of this community. So yeah, you're competent, you're reliable, you're one of the strongest people in the room. I have no doubt. And what I will say that is very positive in this is that you do know this. So what you are aware of is that you are very, very competent, which is good because that is one sort of confidence, right? However, right? However, what you are noting here is that you are aware of your own competence. You are aware of your skills. You are aware of what you can do, right? So you are confident in your capacity to perform and to do things, which is fantastic because a lot of people don't have that, right? What it doesn't give you is confidence and how can I say, confidence that you as a person, right? That you as a person are worth being seen, right? Because you say, but I stay in the background, right? So I do all the things and then I stay in the background, right? I don't want to be seen. I don't like being seen. Um, I fear being seen, something along those lines. So, first part, first cue here is someone, right? You correct me, right? You push back, Lydia, in your own corner there when you listen to me. If anything I say is out of place, you do not take it for yourself, right? I could be mistaken. I'm just interpreting based on your text. You know, you always know what's right for you, right? No one else does. So I don't know. That's my presupposition from how we started here is I can see the type of profile, right? I've attracted you are one of my target audience, right? You're one of us. So we continue here. I don't put myself forward. I don't claim space and I don't fully show who I am, right? So here it continues. The plot thickens, right? Um, I don't put myself forward. So, like, naturally, you will not only just stay in the background, but like, if you can avoid it, you will not put yourself like in a place where you are visible, right? Um, and then you say, I don't claim space, which is an interesting choice of word, right? I don't claim space. So, you do not want to do anything that brings attention to you, right? And there's a notion of space as well. So, you're very aware of like where you are, right? In a situation or in a space, you're aware of like where you are and you are not in the center. You want to be decentralized, right? So hyper aware of like how things are happening and so on and so forth. And you say, and I don't fully show who I am, right? You don't fully show who you are. So that means that there's parts of you, I would assume, that you are not showing. Um, which I completely understand and I can very much relate to. I've done that most of my life as well. And I know most of the good girls that I talk to and I coach have a version of that, right? That some parts of us feel more acceptable or praisable. I don't know if it's a word in English, probably not, but deserve to be seen and other aspects do not. And from how you started here, my assumption would be that you feel like parts of you that deserve to be seen are strong, right? Strong, competent, the things you do and how you do things well, right? Um, and then the rest, what about the rest, right? Where is the vulnerability? Where is the human? Where is the, right? Except for the machine inside where's the person in all of that, I would imagine. Um, so yeah, and then we go inside the like part of me likes being hidden and so on. Before I go into that, I would say that one of the interesting things about competence is that it's a very smart, very, very smart hiding strategy, survival mechanism and hiding strategy, because you are basically what I used to call when I was talking about myself is like it's a way of hiding in plain sight. You are there all the time, right? And you are seen without like fully being seen. It's like being a chameleon, no? It's like being the type of person who can kind of blend in any type of environment, never cause any problems, right? But who is therefore also not really memorable, if you see what I mean. There's nothing unique about you except the fact that you are performing really well. I'm not saying that like that's true for you, Lydia, that there's nothing unique about you as a person, right? That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying in a room, if all you do and all you focus on is performing and you hide all the rest, then this is not a person that people can relate to. That is a machine that most people cannot relate to, but are very grateful because she's very useful, right? So I think we're not going into relationships here necessarily, but I think that gives me an idea and an indication of what types of troubles you could have in your relationships with others, how people could perceive you, and how easy it is for other people to relate to you, and also how sometimes people can treat you, right? Because if people assume that you are a machine and this is how you present yourself, people will have a tendency to see you as a superwoman, which I'm sure you are, right? With all the beautiful things around that, but also all the negative things, some of which are that then people think that you are invincible, that you are the strongest, like what you said. You claimed it, right? The strongest person in the room, right? Most of the time, which means that you probably carry the weight of the world on you. And no one, and by no one, I mean not you and not anyone else, but not you either, expects you to drop the ball, right? And so it's up to you to figure things out no matter what, which is a tough, tough way to live one's life. So again, Lydia, if I'm mistaken, you push back, right? But this is what I would be assuming a lot of, you know, what you're facing is here. And so when you're saying that, you know, I stay in the background, I don't put myself forward, I don't claim space, I don't fully show who I am, so that probably means that behind that, do you are afraid of being seen, which I can completely understand. I do not know what your background is, right? I do not know your early life. I do not know what type of situations you faced for you to be afraid of being seen and what that would mean if someone sees you. But the fear behind, you know, I'm afraid of being seen is something along the line of will I be liked? Will they like me? Will they love me? If it's someone more closer, um, will they see me for who I really am? And you know, if I feel like I'm an imposter or if I feel like I'm not good enough, you know, will they be able to perceive that, right? If they see the whole version of me, right? If it's at work, will they fire me? Like all these types of thoughts, and it can be a very, very lonely place to be in, right? So yeah. And then you say, part of me likes being hidden. It feels safe. Yeah, yeah. You like being hidden because it feels safe. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? So oftentimes we suffer from something because the reason why you write this to me is not because you want to tell me how beautiful your life is, right? You're sharing your beautiful story with me and the situation with me, and you're asking me for advice here because something in what you're doing isn't working, right? Something in what you're facing isn't working, and you're very bravely, you know, describing it to us, and then, you know, seeking to understand it and to change it, which is admirable, right? Um, but that makes me um, see that like this strategy that you've been using of being the strong one, the competent one, is working. Like it was a fantastic survival mechanism because it kept you safe, right? So, you know, that was the priority at some point in your life was to stay safe, and probably to some extent till now still is, it has been to be safe, right? The problem is, you know, what you're saying, another part of me deeply wants to be seen, to be understood, and to be recognized for who I really am. Yeah. Yeah, you want to be loved, right? Everyone wants to be loved. That's what we want. I know it sounds simplistic, but it's really that. At the bottom of it all, we all want to be good enough, and because we really want to be loved, right? And we feel like if we're not good enough, then, you know, love is a conditional thing. It's not, it doesn't have to, right? But that's what we fear, that if love is conditional, then if I'm not good enough, will they withhold love from me, right? Will I lose it? Um, and then as we grow up, we make up meanings and stories of what being good enough means, right? And clearly, here you created a story that I completely relate to, which has to do with how strong you are and how much you can carry, how elegantly you can do that, right? Without, you said it before, without being arrogant, without being out there, without like you're trying to be everything to everyone, basically, in a way that is professional, in a professional way, basically. And so what you deeply want is to be seen, to be understood, and to be, you said, recognized for who you really are. So there's a deep desire for your heart, your heart to be seen and like who you really are inside, the little gem inside to be seen. And yet your whole strategy is around staying hidden and not showing who you really are. So the very thing that protects you, right, has become your prison and your cage, right? Which is, what we all do at some point. It's like we build walls and we use survival mechanisms um, as a child or later on. We create them and they help us in the moment. They were smart things, the best way that we can do that at the moment with the knowledge that we had and the skills that we had. And then it's the very thing that used to protect us that becomes the thing that hurts us, right? Um, I would say that the good news in all of this, beautiful Lydia, is that the there's many good things actually. One is your awareness is commendable, right? You're aware of all of these things. You're very smart. I can tell from like all the nuance that I can see in all of these different things. Like you see yourself. You might not have all the answers yet, but you can see yourself quite clearly in all the things that I see. You can see the how do you say the contradiction in the different things between what you want and what you're actually doing, which is fantastic. And the really good news is all of the things that you are describing in this passage, they have nothing to do with others. They have everything to do with you and your behaviors, which means you are already focusing on what's in your control. You might not know yet exactly how to do it, right? But you already know that what needs to be changed is not you as a person. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken with you, and there's nothing to be fixed. Just in case someone needed to say that to you, let me be that person. You are perfectly beautiful and amazing as you are, right? I am not talking about you as the little gem who is inside, but I'm saying some of the behaviors could change if you wanted them to. And if you just, change some of the behaviors, a lot of the results that you would get would change. Some things, because they're unfamiliar to you, would make you feel unsafe for a little bit, but they would make you feel seen. The issue with wanting to be safe is when is you want control. You are looking for control. And love is the opposite of control. Life is actually the opposite of control as well. The more in control you try to be, the less in touch with other people you can be, right? Because the more you try to control the image, like how people perceive you, for example, the less I will be able to see and to know who really is there. So there's two scenarios there. Either I fall in love, let's say, with whoever, you know, this representation of you shows me, which means I'm not in love with you. I'm in love with the image that you've projected or what I think you are, right? Which is not a good recipe, right? Because you will never feel fully loved because you will know that this is a lie. And then at some point, I will see some cracks and I will wonder what is going on, right? And I will realize I do not love the real you, which is a whole issue um, uh, in itself, right? And most likely, that's part of what happens is that then there's a limit to how much you can connect to others. I'm not saying listen to me carefully here. I'm not saying that people can't, within scenario number one, that people won't think that you're fantastic and that you're amazing and that you're the best and that they want you in their lives because you're this shiny person who's a superwoman and does everything. And I'm sure you have many of those if you want to have them. If you're a friendly person, if you're a friendly good girl who's hyper competent, like I used to be, you will have everyone around you who wants to a little piece of whatever you're having, right? But can you relate to them? Do you feel safe around them? Are you your full self? Do you open up? Um, can you cry in front of them? Can you tell them the truth about what is really making you feel ashamed or what you feel guilty about or where you feel incompetent and these different things? Can you do that freely, right? Do people see what your flaws are, like where your limitations are, like all these different things? And my assumption would be that no, right? And that is often what good girls feel and what makes them feel lonely. That they feel that they can be surrounded by many, many people, right? Because they're super friendly and they're everything that everyone wants to be, right? Um, and at the same time, like these people don't actually know them and they can't really, they feel at least that they can't share their struggles, right? Um, which seems to be what is going on for you, a version at least of what is going on for you. And so, there's a cost of that, of staying hidden. Um, there's many costs, like I've outlined them here, but basically, if we were to think of them of like, what's your emotional cost of staying hidden? And I want you to really like, don't avoid it, Lydia, because if you want to change, and I would assume you want to change, otherwise you wouldn't have sent me this here. Um, if you want to change, the easiest way for you to change, there's basically two ways. Either you connect yourself to an empowering future, so basically to what you wish to become, right? And so you really anchor yourself into something positive that you can see in the future and that you think is feasible. So that's one option. But more powerful than that, most of the time, is a way to create leverage for yourself to actually change is to connect very deeply for a specific amount of time, right? For this moment right now, and then we will release it, is to really connect with the cost and the pain of your current reality, what your destructive patterns are creating now. What's the pain you're feeling? What is the cost, right? And so if you understand what it's costing you and you're very connected with it, then and you're not trying to avoid it or numb it or like, whatever current practice of all of that our current society is very good at giving us in abundance. Um, if you really feel it, then you won't want to stay in it. And because you're a hyper competent woman, Lydia, you will do whatever is required to change and you will do the hard things. But in order to do that, you first need to be super connected to how painful the experience and the choices that you're making right now and the behaviors you have, how much they're costing you, right? Which is why I'm going this route with you this time, because I'm building leverage for you. I'm like outlining all the different things that this is costing you and how it could be making you feel so that you feel the pain just this once here with me in this session, right? Or whoever is watching this and it strikes something in you. Feel the pain, don't run away. Keep it and feel it and then do something about it, right? Don't deny it because otherwise I'll keep coming back in a loop and you'll keep going into loops of like, I need to change. And then I have self-doubt and then I numb and then, like this whole thing. So, if we were to outline what the emotional cost of staying hidden could be for you, is all sorts of emotions. Most probably, there's a lot of sadness in you, right? There's a lot of moments when you feel misunderstood, you feel unseen. Like all these things are probably making you feel lonely. I would assume there's a form of loneliness. There's probably a sensation of like carrying the weight of the world, right? Being alone in this world, having everything to carry, over responsibility type of sensation. Probably a lot of resentment as well towards your friends, towards your family. I don't know how surrounded you are, right? Towards your colleagues who don't pull the same amount of work as you. If you always stay hidden in your work, that also probably means that promotions and like more money and things like that, like things that or like awards or whatever it is that however it works in your area. I haven't written what you were doing as a profession. I don't know if you mentioned it, but that also means that then if you are not seen when you are doing all the work, then most probably a lot of opportunities are passing you by. You are doing the work that no one wants to do. You're doing the hard work that most people don't want to see to do, and the work that not many people see. And so a lot of people will take you for granted, I would imagine. And therefore, you may be praised for being such a good girl who does all the things. And oh my God, how would we do this without you? And yet you're not the one who gets the promotions and stuff like that because it's a different game, right? So I would imagine that even there you would have resentment building, but you could also just have resentment building and like a sort of, I'm not going to say something mean, but it's like there's something that builds up inside of us where we're like, are you stupid? Are you not seeing me? I'm suffering. I'm having this thing, don't you see that this is hard for me? Can't you help? Like there's this type of sensation inside of her that keeps building and then boiling and boiling and boiling, and it creates something, sort of meanness. It doesn't mean that we're mean, but there's something that just comes up for us. And then there's two other things that I would say. One is the sensation that life is passing us by, that we are doing all these things, and what is it worth? Like, why are we even bothering to do all of these types of things? Which is really, you know, it's going there. There's a downward spiral with that, right? Because then you can spiral into like, why am I even alive? Like things that are deeper and more dark, right? But this is where it could lead you, right? Which is an intense thing to be feeling, and yeah, yeah, it's like putting a whole, it's like an existential question of like, why am I even alive? Why am I even bothering? Do I even matter to anyone? Like these types of real questions that most of us have at some point in our lives. We all face these types of questions at some point. But I would imagine that if this is your perpetual way of being, where you're always the strongest one and stuff like that, you probably have like cycles, and like this runs on a loop. And so I would imagine you would have phases where you feel really, really down, right? And it keeps coming back and coming back. So that could be a cost for you, and some leverage that you can, use to say like, enough, like this is not how I want to live anymore, right? And the last thing that I would have said in the emotional costs that I'm assuming for you, Lydia, is self-betrayal, right? Is a question of like, that means that day after day after day after day, in micro ways, but constantly, like you chip away at like your own loyalty, at your own self-respect, right? Every time that an opportunity passes you by, every time that you do work that you're not supposed to do, right? Um, every time that you like hide and like no one sees you, every time that like all these that you play small, all these things, they chip away at like your own sense of like self-worth and self-respect and all of those different things. And that is not a good place to be. The good news, though, is again, this is all in your control. Just like there's a way of like chipping away, like, you know, all these good things, you can chip away and like remove layers and layers of your self-respect, right? And go in a downward spiral. It's the same way for an upward spiral. If you want to gain your own respect and you want to feel like you have a sense of self-worth, right? All these different things, they happened they happen not with like big gestures. They can it can help to make big gestures, and that then they're memorable, right? You can go back to them and remember who you really are. That's useful, but usually it's like you build it up through little pebbles, right? A little pebble where, I spoke up when I was afraid. A little pebble where instead of being like on the last chair of the room, I went like three seat, forward, like whatever it is. Like can be silly, can be small, but like all these moments when you challenge yourself and you went like beyond safety. You chose something else than safety. You chose courage, basically, right? You chose to believe in your own worth. You chose to believe that, you deserved a space in the room. You chose like all these different things are little pebbles that will make you feel really, really proud, and that will build momentum. You will want to keep doing that over and over and over and over again. It's the same type of process, just in reverse. You just have to flip it. I'm going to end with the last thing that you said. You said, I keep hoping someone will notice me and bring me into the light. Um, oh, you have one more chunk, actually. I just realized now. So yeah, you keep hoping that someone will notice you and bring you into the light. Yeah, that tells me a lot of things. So in all of that, what that says, and I'm gonna be very direct, right, in this thing. So if you don't like it, Lydia, you push back. You push back in your own mind, right? Um, when you're waiting for someone to see you, to notice you, when you're waiting to be discovered, to be chosen, right? It's the same thing in romantic relationships. It's a bit of a, it's the inner world of someone who's doing a mix of being a feeling of like a victim, right? It's not, I'm not doing blame here. I'm not saying you're behaving like a victim. I'm saying like the pattern of when you have suffered from something, right? And you feel helpless and powerless, this is a state of like a victim, right? Inside your own mind. That's how we feel. And so we lack agency when we're in a victim state, right? And so oftentimes what a victim or former victim will do, right? I do not know what happened in your past, is a way to survive and to continue to find joy in life, even though in the present moment and in reality, there's nothing to love, is they will project themselves into a dreamer type of state, right? And so it seems like here you're doing a little combo of both of these things. You've removed your agency when it comes to like putting yourself forward and all of these types of things, right? Because you're afraid and you're looking for safety. So you've kind of let that go. I'm not saying it's your fault. I don't know how it happened, but it feels like this is the state of affairs right now. And at the same time, your escape from it is like, I don't know the exact vision. I'm sure it's a beautiful one, but it seems to me like there's a type of vision in your mind where someone in the end, a bit like in a fairy tale, someone in the end will notice you and like will put you on a pedestal and be like, how could such a gem have been hiding from the whole world when it was there all along, right? And someone will come and will save you. It sounds like a fairy tale where like the prince is going to save you, right? Or a knight in shining armor is going to save you. And there's nothing wrong with a little bit of dreaming. The issue is in that if you stay in that, you let go, you surrender all of your agency, and you stay in a hoping state that someone one day will see you, right? And what's ironic in all of that is that someone right now could see you, and that person is you, right? I can do that for you right now, right? I see you. I chose you. You see what I mean? I'm putting you right now in a spotlight. So you could choose to see that as well. But my invitation to you, Lydia, is like there's always one person who knows that you're this competent badass who's doing all the things, and that person is you, right? But you are choosing not to put you forward, right? You are choosing not to do that when you could, right? You can save you. Like, if what you want is a fairy tale type of story, you could write your own type of fairy tale, right? The question is, you don't need to release both the victim and the dreamer. If you want to keep your dreamer, you can keep your dreamer because she seems to be the reason why you've been performing so well, right? It's because there's a part of you, I'm saying she because in identity work, right, there's like different aspects of you. So if the victim part, we should give her a name. If we were in a coaching session, we would give her a name together. You would tell me what we would call her. But then your victim part of you, she's a she, and then there's another she, which is the dreamer version of you. And that version of you is the reason why you became an overachiever, right? There's some safety and so on, but there's also some dreaming and some goals and, like some overachieving tendencies there as well. And so I think we can tap into that as well. That is part of the leverage that we can tap into. We can keep your dreamer, for example, and we can imagine a new type of fairy tale. This is like narrative type of coaching, right? We create a new story for you, where you save you. You're your own Princess Charming or whatever, or your knight in shining armor. I don't know how to say that in the feminine in English. But yeah, how about you choose you? How about you choose that you're worthy? How about you remember all the things that you wish someone else would see? You're the one who sees them and who would love for someone else to see them. How about you do that? How about you own it, right? Um, and from that place, you can do pretty much anything. When you reconnect with your own self-worth, because this is what all of this is about, Lydia, if I'm completely honest with you, if we look at the whole thing, I can unpack it step by step. But overall, the whole thing is you are hiding because there's a part of you that doesn't believe in your own worth, right? It's a question of self-worth here. And so, however, the fantastic thing about you is you already have a sense of self-worth in what you do, right? So you are competent, you are strong. There's aspects of you already own. The question is, you own them in a way, how can I say that? You don't, like, you feel them and you know they're there, but you don't own them out there in the world, right? You want other people to notice it when you could just notice it and you could point it out, right? And there we have what you were saying at the end here, the part that I almost missed. You said, why do I do this? I think I just answered that. Um, and how do I stop hiding without feeling exposed or arrogant? And this is the crux of your thing, is that you are afraid there's values here, right? It's a question of values here. Exposed, I'm wondering, in a coaching session, I would ask you, what does exposed mean to you? Um, I think exposed. Hmm. I think exposed to me, but it's an assumption because it's going to be a very personal type of thing. So I might be mistaken. Perhaps you can send me a message afterwards, Lydia, if you want, if you want to precise that, and I can help you out with that. But the exposed part, I think, is about what you were saying, that you want to be truly seen, but no one really knows you, right? I think it's about that you're not used to that. You're not used to people seeing you as you are fully, right? And so I would imagine that there's fear, right, of not being enough, not being loved, like something like that. And so I would imagine that exposure would be about that you will feel like you're naked, right? Because no one has seen that. And so for the how part of like, how do you do that without feeling exposed? I used to feel the same way, by the way. I was also someone who was, there were layers and layers and layers upon layers with me. And I still am like that. Like between the friendly version of me that you see and who I really am inside, there's layers. I'm someone who has been, I will put it in the past, hyper vigilant for most of my life. And so I still carry patterns of that, of someone who's vigilant, who's like, love to see you, so much love for you, and so on and so forth. But it's going to take a little bit of time before you enter my bubble, like really enter my bubble, and I open up to you in specific ways and the things that scare me, right? And so I would say that how you do that without feeling exposed is you do a mix of taking courageous, bold steps forward. Like you feel the fear and you do it anyway, right? Like the book. I think it's Susan Cain who wrote that book, if I remember correctly. Um, so it's not my saying, but basically you feel the fear and you still do the thing, right? It doesn't matter. Like you get used to being a little afraid and doing things that are uncomfortable. This is a non-negotiable. If you want to change, you will have to do that. And I'm sure you can do it because in your hyper competence and being the strongest person in the room and all of that, there is a lot of that. You do a lot of things in your work, right? Or I don't know where else you are the strongest people in the room, strongest person in the room, but you do a lot of things that other people cannot do and that you didn't know how to do before, right? But you figure it out when it's, on these types of topics. So I know you can do that. You can just pull from that specific skill. And at the same time, what I would also offer is that you give yourself some grace, that also you can go at your own rhythm. Like this is like take your time with it, Like take mini steps. You don't have to show all of you to everyone all the time. If you haven't done that already, it's because you have real fears and you probably have real wounds that need to be healed. And you need to, you know, like step by step, you will unpack what that means to you. You will see with this person how that resonated. You will see how you want to do things. Like it's a learning process. It's like there's a whole learning curve to that, right? And so I would say, you stop hiding without feeling exposed by choosing, making a conscious choice, right? That like right now, what I was saying about the chairs in the auditorium, right? Instead of being in the very back where no one sees me, you know what? I'll be one seat forward. That's where I'm gonna go. Where there's still no one, and I'm still the one who's the furthest in the back. But you know what? It's like one seat forward. And next week I'll do it as well. And next week I'll do it as well. And if when I arrive at seat, I don't know, if there's like 10 rows, right? And I arrive at row number 5, and here there's like 4 people on that bench, and it makes me very uncomfortable to be seen there, right? I give myself some grace, right? Because I felt very exposed. So next time I have a choice. Do I want to go back to row 5, or do I want to do I want to stay in row 5 and get used to it? Do I want to go to row 6, right? Like, and you play with it. And you see sometimes it's a day where you feel particularly bold. Some days you won't be, and that's okay, right? So I would say giving yourself some grace and like kind of making it as It's like a game, like a game, no? You gamify the process of your own interchange, and you give yourself some like brownie points, no? Like you did it. It's like one more row. And then if next week what you did is instead of going to row four and like stepping again forward and forward and forward, and you were to stay a whole month on bench number five, you could give yourself some grace and give yourself some brownie points. Because you know what? You're so scared. Another version of you of a few years ago would have gone back at the back of the room or may not have ever come back to this auditorium. And yet you're here, right? So I think it's like these types of things that can help you both step out of your comfort zone, but also honor your own feelings and your own, your own inner reality, because it's worthy too, right? If you're worthy, then these darker aspects of you, these more vulnerable aspects of you are just as lovable and likable and worthy as you are, right? And you just need to notice it. And you just need, like, you're the one who has the power to do that, right? And you had a last thing, which was, how do I stop hiding? The other part was without without feeling arrogant or without being arrogant. Um, that's an interesting one because why would you feel arrogant for not hiding? You know what I mean? Like you framed this in a specific way. You didn't say, how do I start shining or how do I like own the place, without feeling arrogant? You are saying here, how do I stop hiding without feeling arrogant, right? So as if, I don't know, I'm trying to find a metaphor for this here or an image, but like I'm behind a curtain. So everyone else, imagine there's a room. There's 10 people in this room, right? Everyone is in the room showing their face, right? And I'm the only one who's wearing a mask or who's like behind a curtain, right? And so no one sees me or no one understands what's going on with me, like why I'm this person who's like not like everyone else. And then all of a sudden I like lift off my mask or I remove myself from the curtain. And like from that situation, would anyone else in the room but you feel like this is an arrogant move? You know what I mean? Like I think anyone else in the room or see or observing the situation would either see you as like liberating yourself. They would see like, oh, there's a discovery of like who is it underneath, There's like all different interpretations, but I do not see any of that being any form of arrogance. Like it's I'm going to be a bit brutal again here, but merely existing, who you are, merely existing in a room or in a space has nothing arrogant to it. You deserve space in this world, Lydia, right? You deserve space in this world, right? Again, I do not know what your story is. I don't know. Probably there's some therapy that is needed behind it, and perhaps you're already doing the work. And if you are, that's wonderful. But this is about self-worth. There is nothing arrogant about existing in the world. I like if there's one thing that you keep from this whole little session here, it's this. It's like there's nothing arrogant about that. Like being seen, you existing in the world and other people being able to see you is just like a basic human need and it's a basic human desire and it's what everyone is worthy of, including you. Okay? So I think I'm going to stop here. It was a bit of a heavier type of topic, right? I hope it was helpful though for you, Lydia, listening to that, and to anyone else who has patterns like that. I certainly had things that resemble what you just talked about. Um, Lydia will also dedicate the newsletter of this week on this topic as well. So there will be exercises in there that you can use to like further continue the process that I just did with you. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or if you want to reroute any of the things that I said or even push back. Like you deserve to be seen in my things as well. And you deserve to be acknowledged and loved and appreciated from me as well as a feedback. I certainly do appreciate you. I am so grateful that you took the step, without feeling arrogant, without feeling anything of taking this space, claiming this space. I'm using all your words here, right? To be here in this episode with me and with everyone else. So thank you so, so much to you and to everyone else who's watching or listening. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day or evening, depending on when it is for you and where you are in the world. Again, if you enjoyed this and you're still here with me, please do put a little thumbs up so that I know that you enjoyed this. And in any case, I will see you real soon. Bye, my friend. Have a beautiful day.